I've reviewed a fair number of books and different stripes on this channel. I haven't discussed fanfic much, oftentimes, because fanfic is, I'm not going to say fleeting. I mean, there's plenty of fan fiction out there. In fact, this work itself that I'm discussing today, that is novel length in terms of how many pages it would be were it printed out. And some of it is on par with published fiction, as is the case for the work that I'm discussing today. But for varieties of reasons, it didn't get published. It's not publishable because perhaps subject matter wise it is in violation of brand guidelines for a particular work, as most smutty works of fanfic would fall into under the circumstances, or because the way the novel works for a particular medium are handled, you are preferred to commission them rather than pitching a work to be published, or that sort of thing. Then this leads to, I don't know what is the case for the Star Trek fandom, but I mean, look, I didn't just pick a Federation starship for my background for giggles, because this was the first spaceship background I could find. I picked this because I love Star Trek. Even if I'm not current on every series, even if I don't play Star Trek Online as much as I used to, in spite of my lifetime subscription, I love Star Trek a lot. So, when I was growing up, my Star Trek that was airing throughout my childhood into high school and college, it was Next Generation, DS9, and even Voyager. And I'd agree, a bit of Enterprise. So, when a link I stumbled across on my social media, the fanfic, We Have Engaged The Borg, an oral history of the Battle of Wolf 359. I said, that sounds like an interesting concept for a story. And when I saw that in addition to having a bit on AO3, that there also was a PDF version with some flashy publication elements and that sort of thing, I'm going to read this. And I basically ended up reading it over the course of a day. Started it on in the afternoon of Friday on my way home from work, and finished it the following morning. And this is I say with full candor, this is a work that I wish got licensed and officially published. I'm glad that it is available for free on the internet for anyone to read, and I do encourage you to read it. But I am glad that it's a publication grade fic. And also, honestly, part of the reason we should get published is because then theoretically we get an there's the potential to get a full cast audiobook of it, or would be were that the case. But here we are. As the title suggests, this is the story of Battle of Wolf 359, as we see the aftermath of and get little teeny bits and pieces of the story through the episodes Best of Both Worlds Parts 1 and 2, and the prologue of the DS9 pilot episode Emissary. This expands the narrative beyond that. We see, well, not just how things are perceived at the Enterprise itself, but from Enterprise alumni who are at Starfleet Command or Starfleet Medical, like Dr. Pulaski. Like, we see how Federation Council and Council President are reacting to this. We see how Starfleet Command handles it, and the way we get the plans put together for the ultimately futile battle. We do have perspectives from members of the Enterprise crew. We have interviews in the book with Data, with Commander Riker, with Worf, and even a little bit with Chief O'Brien. And also very significantly with Guinan. Both with her as sort of serving as a second advisor, sort of emotional advisor to the ship's crew, but also with her personal history as an Elorian with the Borg. And what also helps is the book feels comfortable bringing in stuff from other elements of Trek that would not have been applicable necessarily at this point in the story. For example, we have both in terms of subsequent works, which are either happened earlier or later in the timeline, like referencing the xenobiology school at the Starfleet, or xenobiology building at Starfleet Medical being nicknamed the Phlox Box, or one of the ships involved being the Giorgio. That's part of it. We also have, discussion of, or for that matter, the Borg contact stuff with weird time travel elements related to Star Trek First Contact and Enterprise. That gets brought up a little bit. But also we have, let's just say, like Section 31 comes up. They're not helpful. They don't do much they're not helpful. They don't do anything to make things better or worse, really. Actually, arguably in the long run, they help things get worse because they're the one who set up what the idea for the plan is actually at Wolf 359. That it's not just we're getting everybody together in the star system. Like they have a plan. To try and take out the Borg cube. And the way things gets worse here is there's a Section 31 introduction, basically. It's implied that Section 31 helps make some introductions between some of the Starfleet brass involved and Dr. Tolian Soren. From Star Trek Generations. Who's also an Elorian and is studying stellar gravitation because he wants to get back to the Nexus, if you remember that movie, and as we see in Generations, is willing to blow up stars to do it, and this gives him a bit of a push. We get interviews with I think the biggest part of this in terms of where the series is doing its the book does its most painting in around the edges is one, what's going on with the Romulans through all of this? What were they up to? Because the Borg came in partially through their space on a couple different occasions. We've never in any previous works got into, okay, so the Romulans have had some clearly had some contact with the Borg. How does that play out with them? And the answer is, well, one, not well, and two, they've possibly had their own 359s in the past, or similar battles, but like those similar battles, but nothing quite to this level. And with a bit of an implication but the Borg weren't quite that interested in the Romulans in the same way that they are with the Federation. We have interviews with Hugh, which also lead into why the Borg are interested in the Federation. And also what it's like to provide a different perspective of being in the Borg collective than what we got from, say, Picard, or for that matter, what theoretically would have gotten from Seven over the course of Voyager. So, that we have interviews with a lot of new original characters who are there's very individual crew members of ships that were in 359. Like ones who survived, who made it to escape pods, who were on the hood, which managed to barely get it out. Like, I won't say they got out intact, but they got out, but they didn't blow up, and they had a reasonable number of their crew on board still alive. They basically fared better than everyone else at the battle. I don't want to spoil the book. But all of this, Brendan coming into this having watched Best of Both Worlds Parts 1 and 2 as they aired, and watched them multiple times afterwards, coming into this with the sense of, like, coming into this with that knowledge gives the book a real strong, like, intense emotional foreboding. It's, the way I would describe it is like the thing with prequels or interquels or that sort of thing is people say, oh, it's that they're not interesting because there's no tension. You know what's going to happen. But when an interquel and a prequel goes well, is in environments where you know certain big strokes are going to happen, but there's chunks missing around the periphery. Or if in the work in question things go badly, the tension of, oh, we know this is going to suck. We know this is going to be terrible, and you are getting to know these characters better before the inevitable bad thing happens. And that gives this story a really intense sense of foreboding. We know from having watched the episode that things are just not going to go well for some of the crews involved. Well, we know Admiral Hansen's not going to make it. We know that the USS Melbourne is not going to make it. We don't know how much of the Melbourne's crew is going to survive or not. Like that sort of thing. And it all makes for an intense story. Because, like, or to put it other ways, we know Hansen's not going to make it. The question is this lieutenant who is working in engineering, are they going to make it to the escape pod in time? Is the chief engineer of the hood going to save the, going to survive saving the ship? To save the ship. What happens to this other crew member on the Saratoga who's not Benjamin Sisko or Jake Sisko? That sort of thing. It makes for a fun, interesting, not fun, it is fun, an interesting, engrossing novel to read. It drew me in. Like, there are some books where it's like, oh, I'm sure reading this, I'm going to read a bit here, a bit there, take my time with it, savor it. This is something where I start reading it and I can't stop. I had, like, on the weekend that I was doing this episode, reading the book, I also have to watch Ghost in the Shell for a podcast. I also have other things in eat dinner. I mean, like, honestly, actually, this was a situation where I was like, I'm going to continue reading this while I'm eating dinner, because I need to keep reading this. This was like honestly one of the best works of fan fiction I have read in quite some time. Not a slight against anything else I've read in this intervening time, but this was like truly awesome. I think that if you are a fan of TNG era Trek, if you're a fan of that era of Star Trek, I think it's worth it to read these. I do hope, like, occasionally fan works have gotten a little more involved adaptations or embellished presentations in the past. I'd hope that, I don't know if Paramount's ever going to seek out a fan work and say, oh no, we want to adopt this in or do something with this. But like if something were to be done with this as a not-for-profit work, as in like for, I don't know, a charity fundraiser for Doctors Without Borders, that's a non-profit which I feel is best reflective of the values of the Federation. I would hope, like, I would absolutely support that if, like, someone's doing something like, hey, we're going to record this as an audiobooky thing to make it more accessible for people with visual disabilities or have difficulty reading or that sort of thing. In a way that's better than a screen reader, and captures the sense of the work better than just using a screen reader would. Again, as a not-for-profit thing, that would be really cool. In fact, actually, I might even say out. In fact, I will actually say now. If someone were to do that thing as a fan work, I would be willing to volunteer my services for reading some random crewman their entry or that sort of thing. Just saying. But anyway, I'll have a link to where you can pick it up in the show notes. And because I'm a person who supports physical media wherever possible, if you don't own the Blu-ray versions of Star Trek The Next Generation, I do recommend picking those up. They do have some obnoxious elements with the packaging, but otherwise they're really good. I will have affiliate links for those in the show notes as well, so you can have a physical copy of the relevant Star Trek episodes to watch at your leisure without having to go through a streaming service. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe, and also consider backing my Patreon. Patreon backers get episodes up to 1 week early of this show and any future Let's Plays. Also, please consider backing my Ko-fi. Toss me a few bucks, also helps support the show, and it's not a monthly obligation or anything like that.